Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Bald Metal Nerd coming at you with another video. I'm gonna start this video off by giving a shout out to one of my newest subscribers, Purple Ghost. He actually gave me the idea for this video. He asked me in one of my videos what I thought about the Canadian music chain HMV closing. Um, well, I mentioned to him, since I'm not in Canada, but rather the U.S., I don't have any thoughts on HMV closing specifically, but we certainly have lost a huge number of record store chains or media chains or whatever here in the U.S. Over the years. Growing up, and when I was a younger adult, I remember going to several chains around here. One of the ones that I got a crap load. I think I frequented this store from when it was open. Oh, at least 10 years, maybe a bit longer. Um, there was a Camelot Music that was fairly convenient to where I was, and I bought a whole bunch of music there. Tons and tons and tons of music from Camelot Music over the years, and they, of course, don't exist anymore. Um, and of course, one reason I liked it is they had their own dedicated heavy metal section. I loved that, of course. So that's I would always make a beeline for that section whenever I went into that store back in the old days. A lot of fun memories of getting stuff there, talking with the clerks, whatever. It was good times. And they just it wasn't just the internet that killed them, but probably some bad decisions by management of that company as well, and they're just now gone. There was another chain that I liked to frequent back in when they existed. There was a store called Media Play that had a bunch of locations around the country, and it essentially was several stores in one. It was basically because these stores were absolutely huge, huge floor space. These aren't what you would think of as a typical media store because basically they're maybe the size of a Best Buy, just to give you an idea of how big they were. They had one section that was like an entire record store by itself, and then basically, another thing that's the size of, like, I don't know, say a Blockbuster full of movies. Then they had another section that was video games, and and that's essentially what it was. It was kind of like several stores in one. They sold, of course, a ton of pop culture stuff, and I also got a bunch of music and other stuff at Media Play when they operated as a company. Um, there was never really any Tower Records around here that I ever visited. Obviously, that was one of the better known chains that's gone now. We didn't have a Tower Record, so I can't really comment on them. But as far as those chains not existing anymore, it's kind of sad. I really did enjoy going to them when they did exist and getting things there. But the business model is, I guess, maybe for what they were doing was becoming antiquated at the time because they all failed in the late 90s or early 2000s is kind of when they, you know, exploded in spectacular fashion and stopped existing. Now, there is still one chain around here that has a few locations in some malls. There's some f.y.e's left in this general vicinity, and it's kind of like they're sort of similar to what Camelot Music used to be. They have a heavy metal section, which of course I go to and I check out the releases. And very often when I go there, I walk out with at least one or two CDs. And it's good going there. The only the major difference though that I see, even in a place like f.y.e versus the old days. I remember in the old days, in those chain record stores, they would very often carry an artist's entire catalog. Nowadays, you'll see like very often their newest album, and then if you're lucky, one or two other albums. Very rarely do they ever carry an artist's entire catalog. So it's kind of like, it's a bit of a bummer. So, it's nice that they still exist, but they're not what they once were, where you could go and just have this, like, for lack of a better term, you could go there and really fill out your collection. In the old days, you could just really spend a long time uh, looking through the albums that they had, and seeing what gaps were in your collection and just picking stuff up. It was great, but those days are pretty much over now, which is kind of a shame. um, Nowadays you pretty much just get stuff that you see, for lack of a better term, on impulse. If I'm looking for back catalog stuff that I don't have, I'm not going to a physical store anymore. I'm going on Amazon or wherever to get the stuff if I'm looking for back catalog, 'cause it's just not going to be in the stores, the physical stores. And I guess that's just due to the changing business model, competition from, let's face it, internet piracy or free downloads or whatever you want to call it. It's really done a number on the business model, but there are things they could do to evolve their business model further. One example is when I was at f.y.e, this was a fairly recent trip. I was going to buy a CD or two, I can't remember, and I was in line, and I think there were two cashiers there, but there was only one operating, and they were basically signing this person up for their rewards program and these free magazines and crap. Of course, you have to pay for the magazines after a month or two, but and this person's sitting there like, oh man, they're taking forever to choose the magazines and all that. Long story short, I was not going to stand there in line for 20 minutes to buy a fucking CD. So I put my purchases down and I walked out of the store without buying anything. Not a great way. I understand why they're doing that. It's high profit margin if you can do that, but not a good way to retain customers. Can't say I'll never go back there again, but they didn't get any money from me that day. So, yeah. And also another thing that is a bit outdated on their business model is a lot of places will match Amazon.com prices on merchandise. Many will. They will not. If you say, hey, this is $3 cheaper on Amazon, doesn't matter. You either buy it or you don't. They won't price match. So that's again, a bit of a bummer, but whatever. If the price is reasonable, I'll still buy it there. So anyway, I'm just going to show off a few things that I've gotten, and I'll tell you kind of where I've gotten each item and a little bit about it. This right here, obviously, is the Ride the Lightning remaster. I bought this to compare it with the vinyl remaster of the album. I got that for $5 at Walmart. So definitely the furthest thing from a record store that there is, right? This is significant because I got this from Amazon, right? For $10 delivered to my house. I got it because I don't have Prime shipping. I got it a day or two after the album actually hit stores. But I only paid $10 for it, and it's the deluxe edition. So yeah, that was a big savings because I've not seen it for less than $12 or $13 anywhere else. So, no complaints there. So I bought that at a, obviously online ordering. This here, impulse buy at Best Buy. And obviously we know what Best Buy is. Basically they sell a bit of media, but that's certainly not their main focus. I remember, back in the glory days of the record stores, Best Buy, since they were such large stores, they still are large stores. Since they're such large stores, they had these enormous sections where they sold CDs. They didn't really sell records back then. They would have basically discographies of a lot of artists as well. Best Buy used to be an absolutely great place to buy music. Now they're just, maybe you'll see something you like, maybe you won't. pick it up as an impulse buy, but you certainly don't really go there looking for music. This next item here, I got this record at a place called Half Price Books, which is a regional media place that sells both new and secondhand items. They'll basically sell new and used, like CDs, records, books, lots of books because it's called Half Price Books, movies, things of that nature. This here, I got that at an actual record store. I got that at f.y.e. And lastly, I also got that at Best Buy. So, really, what this boils down to, now, you noticed that I haven't addressed local record shops yet. We have a number of them here in the Cincinnati area, and they're okay. My main issue with local record shops is their prices are even higher than the chains, right? Any CD that I want when I walk into a local record shop, at least if it's new, to be fair, if it's new, it's going to cost $15 minimum, where I'm not going to pay $15 for a new CD anywhere else except a local record shop. Very cost prohibitive compared to other places. What else about them is a negative? Their selection is honestly, it's often a crapshoot. It doesn't tend to be much better than the chains. And as far as now, one thing they do have usually in their favor is they have a ton of used albums. I mean, their used selection is often actually pretty extensive in a lot of these, and it's fun to look through it, But as far as, am I going to go to a local record shop because I'm looking for one thing in particular? Absolutely not. No, it's going to be just to go there for fun, to look through stuff and just to see what I can find. It's treasure hunting, as it were. So, what's my whole opinion over under on this whole thing? It's hard to say. The day, we're never ever going to have the glory days again. We're never going to have the old days of the 80s and 90s where you had multiple chains out there that had these giant selections of albums. Those days are never, ever, 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 ever coming back. That shit's done. And I guess the businesses that will survive are the ones that can adapt to the new reality of being able to get music for free on the internet, price pressures from online retailers, because there is price pressure there. If it's cheaper online, and you can wait, you're probably going to get it online. So I think if they can really somehow react to those two things, they'll do okay. But if they can't, they're going to, circle the drain and go down the drain, because as much as I enjoy going to physical stores and buying media, it's fun to me, I'm not willing to spend significantly more money to do that, right? Because you damn well know, if I'm somewhere and I'm looking at the price of the item on Amazon versus the price in the store, if it's significantly cheaper, I'll just buy it later. I'll just wait. Will I wait to save $4 or $5? Oh, fuck yeah, I will. Now, and a lot of people are exactly the same way. So, now do I want physical stores to stay around to sell media? Absolutely. I want them to remain. And I do try to give them business as much as possible, but, within the reasonable cost limitations compared to other sources. And I think if they ever go away entirely, which they might eventually, they might all go away, I think we'll really lose something, because it is quite enjoyable going to these places, looking through their selection, and just picking something up like, oh, hey, I've been looking for that. That looks cool. You know, if physical stores go away, that experience will go away because Amazon doesn't replicate that. I've not really seen any online retail that replicates the experience of randomly browsing and just hitting these awesome discoveries. It just doesn't happen on the internet. I don't think it's possible, just due to the nature of the two ways of shopping. So anyway, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. In the comments below, let me know if you remember any of the chains that I mentioned or other chains. What are your memories of them? Blah, blah, blah. I'd be real interested to hear. If you did like what you see, thumbs up. If you hate me, thumbs down. Share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks a whole lot for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.